Huge news today as Florida State lands one of the best players in the country. A five-star offensive tackle, Jonathan Daniels, commits to the Seminoles. He was also looking at LSU, Georgia, and others, but Alex Atkins has gone out and landed an absolutely massive piece of this 2024 class. We are super excited. This is one that we are jacked about. We put in a prediction in our Discord a long time ago and thought that Florida State would end up edging out some elite SEC schools. And they did that today when they landed Jonathan Daniels out of the Panhandle, named FSU his leader several months ago. But that wasn't a curse. That wasn't anything to worry about. The Noles kept the pedal on the metal there, to be cliche, and landed the very talented prospect. Again, number one tackle in the country, according to On3. He's a little lowly ranked on 247. I think they need to get that updated just a bit. But let's talk about Daniels as a prospect. He is, again, a five-star offensive tackle out of Pensacola, Florida, 270 plus pounds, plays at Pine Forest. Again, class of 2024, offensive tackle. And he is exactly what you're looking for as an offensive lineman, an offensive tackle for your offensive line of the future. I think he is your prototypical potential left tackle that's covering your quarterback's blind side. I know that Luke Kromenhawk is certainly happy to have him in this class with him. I know that guys like Cam Davis and others that are skill positions on this offense are super thrilled to have him. He has everything you're looking for in a tackle prospect. He's incredibly strong. That's the first thing that people rave about when they see him in action, when they see him at camps or playing. We're showing his highlights now, courtesy of huddle.com. His physicality and his strength is truly special. And there's a reason he's as highly rated, very high 4-star on most sites. Again, a 5-star according to On3's rankings. There's a reason for that. As you watch his highlights, he absolutely just gets low and drives guys to the second and third level. He's very impressive when he is on the field. He's really good, not only in pass blocking, but run blocking. He is exactly what this offense will look for in the years to come. He's a guy that I think could step in and play somewhat early if Florida State didn't have the wealth of riches that they kind of have on the offensive line right now. You think about guys like Armella, you think about guys like Simmons early, others. I think that could maybe prevent him from, stepping in right away and making moves. But I would project it in his second year, he is there playing on the offensive line, probably at one of those tackle positions. Massive pickup for Coach Atkins in this FSU staff. We want to talk a little bit more about his official visit and him committing to the Noles. But just before we do that, I do want to give some love to our friends over at Gramco. Hey, Gramco's got some new products coming out that you guys need to go check out. You can go to thegramco.com as a reminder. And on all of their products, whether you're looking for vapes, gummies, pre-rolls, wake and bake coffee, they've got a water-soluble that's flavorless and odorless mix-in that you can mix into your favorite recipes or your favorite drinks. Everything they've got there, TJ25 will save you 25% at checkout. We're looking forward to tailgating with them for the LSU game. Make sure that you're shopping at thegramco.com for all of your Delta 8 needs. Again, TJ25 for 25% off. Okay, Daniels visited the last weekend of January that you could have visits there on the 23rd. And a lot of people question that strategy when others didn't end up showing that weekend, whether they had committed to Florida, whether they had committed to USC, Stanford, other schools there in the mix. But this was a situation where Florida State holding that official visit until late in June certainly paid off. Daniels visited UGA in Kentucky right before he visited Florida State. LSU and UF were also very heavy on the talented tackle, but Florida State ended up winning that battle. And by getting him later in the month, you got that final visit and you got that chance to make that last impression on Daniels. I think it was a smart strategy. It obviously paid off and worked off for them. I think that you heard Daniels earlier in his recruitment talk about potentially taking this all the way down to the wire in December. That obviously isn't the case now when you look at him being committed much earlier than December. And I do think that them getting that final impression, getting him back around a lot of the other guys that are going to be in his class, like Luke and others on that offensive side of the ball, I think that was really, really big. Alex Atkins got that final chance to make that impression there at the end of June. And Daniels committed, and the Florida State Seminoles have a massive pickup today. Again, 5-star Jonathan Daniels commits to the Seminoles. Again, we told you about that in our Discord. If you haven't joined our Discord just yet, there is a link to it in the description. It's free to join. There are some paid channels that you can get access to if you either become a member here on YouTube or a member on our Patreon, but that's not required. I'd say go and join that chat for free. We share a lot of insight. There's conversation going from about 2 a.m. until 6 a.m. with about 2,000 FSU fans that are pretty rowdy at times, but we have a great time in there. So go join it. Again, it's free. If you enjoy the content we put out on YouTube, we do even more there in the Discord that you need to go check out. Alex Atkins needs all of his flowers right now. And I know that we give him praise over and over and over and over again, but it's just not enough for what he has done to flip around this offensive line room. Guys, just remember a couple of years ago when the offensive line was an absolute liability and we really couldn't get anything going in a positive direction offensively because we couldn't block anybody, both running and passing the ball. You think about 2020 and even in 2021 where we really had to makeshift that thing and piece it together. You got a huge transfer in Dylan Gibbons in 21 that did kind of anchor the line a little bit. But, man, what they've been able to do and what they've been able to do to turn it around, we know how good they were in 22. We would anticipate they get even better here in 2023. And then going forward, what Florida State's been able to do both in the portal and in the recruiting high school ranks is ridiculous. You think about guys like Simmons that they picked up last year. You think about guys like Armella and Early and others that are committed. They love what they've got in Chris Otto down there from the Keys. You think about where this offensive line room has come from and where they're at right now. And again, we probably cannot give enough flowers to Alex Atkins, the offensive coordinator and offensive line coach for the Florida State Seminoles. And by pulling in, again, the number one offensive tackle in the country in Jonathan Daniels, more flowers that we need to hand off to Alex Atkins. Daniels is going to be a star for this team, and the offensive line for the foreseeable future is going to be a strength. When things started to go downhill under the last couple of regimes, the first thing to go was the offensive line. Florida State is always going to recruit skill positions very, very well. Being in a talent-rich state like Florida, you have your pick of the litter when it comes to skill positions, and you're always going to be able to stack talent there. But where Florida State fell off was offensive line and defensive line recruiting. I hate to be cliche, but obviously games are won in the trenches. And by solidifying that, like the Florida State Seminoles have done over the last couple of years, both through the high school recruiting rankings and the transfer portal, the offense and defensive lines are on another level right now. They're absolute strengths of the team, and we're thankful that Alex Atkins has had a massive part in building that. FSU's offensive recruiting, just in general, is pretty insane this cycle. We've talked about guys like Luke and Cam and the multiple skill positions that they have all over at wide receiver, the 5-star tight end in Landon Thomas, who's the number one tight end in the country. And now you're a program that now has a program-defining offensive tackle in Jonathan Daniels. We'd love to see the defense continue to pick up, but we do believe some good news is in store there for the Florida State Seminoles on that side of the ball when recruiting is the focus. So stay tuned. I believe that we'll continue to get good news on the offensive side of the ball. I know Florida State's going after some massive, massive targets on that side. Now that they've solidified the base of what this offensive class is going to look like, stay tuned on offense, and I believe the defensive wins are just around the corner. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of that good news that we have for you. If you want to get caught up on the very latest on FSU recruiting, you can click right here to check it all out.